All right, a pleasant good morning to you from Nuke the House. This is Ramon Scott, and welcome to college football Saturday pregame. Get you ready for a big noon kickoff action here with our great card today. Here, maybe most of the games are better games are in the afternoon session, late afternoon session at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific window and beyond. We got some early action those still here to look at as well. We're going to get you caught up on all the best games today here in college football on Nuke the House. And don't forget, the guys, we here along today for coverage here as well with the UFC today at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. And we'll cover some college football action here on the channel as well. So thanks for joining me here on Nuke the House. Don't forget here, it is, of course, football season, so don't miss one single college or NFL bet from the Nuke the House sports betting team. Our team of bettors was up over 128 units in the NFL last season. We live bet all the games during the NFL season, so you can get our picks watching our live betting shows or signing up for our live betting notifications that come right to your mobile device. I'm posting my college football plays all season long here at Nuke the House, and hey, I came up with another winner last night. So, yeah, I'm pretty hot here. Got off to a little bit of a rugged start, but since then we've hit a bunch in a row here right now, five straight winners, including last night's winner with Kansas State and Arizona game to go under there and a hit 3-0 last week as well. So check me out over at Nuke the House here. I've got my top plays up there. When you subscribe, visit nukethehouse.com, sign up for any plan. We won't charge you unless you want to be charged. Use the code Nuke the House for one free week. That's Nuke the House for one free week. Come join the winners here at Nuke the House. Also got a promo there you see on the top on the screen here. So really appreciate everybody joining me here on the show and getting ready for the action here today. We're going to get right into it and preview all the action here, uh, the big games anyway, including these early kickoffs. Thanks for joining me here. All right. Jimmy says, what's your favorite play for the noontime starts? And let's get into the games here right now. Hey, we only got a half an hour, so we got to go because I've got a handful of plays to get to you today. Let's preview the action here today, and let's give one out right now. We got a special request, so we might as well talk about the matchups here with Clemson and Georgia Tech getting us off and running here. Look, I think it's a pretty good situation here in this one. We've got a pretty good matchup here with Clemson favored on the road. We know Georgia Tech here got a little something going here for Haynes King. Looks like he'll be returning here to his rightful spot as a starter here in this one. He was on the injury report here coming in, but he's probable today. Haynes King, the quarterback of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Meanwhile, for Clemson, Antonio Williams, their receiver, he's out of this game. So we'll see with Clemson coming in a road favorite. There's been a big move this week on Georgia Tech. Of course, Georgia Tech's a team that's 2-0, not Clemson here necessarily. But, King missed the last game against Gardner Webb. No big deal. They won that one 59-3, but he'll be here. The Tigers supposed to be the most experienced team in the country, but they really haven't looked that part here, it feels like, so far. So Clemson has really dominated this series. We know that, but has the tide turned here a little bit? Will Clemson end up being that team that can come back and, be that contender that we thought, despite that one loss here so far? The Tigers are terrible, actually, as a road favorites kind of in this role. If they're not a huge favorite, they're no good. Usually they've failed to cover in 4 of their last 5 on the road as 17-point favorites or less. But Clemson's really dominated this series. Last 9 games, 7-1-1 against the spread has Clemson been. But, man, this feels like it's going to be tough here today. This total at 52 has gone down here a little bit in this one. Georgia Tech's got to stop giving away the ball. That's been their problem really over the last year or two right now with Tech. They're 4-1 against the spread in their first conference game. Also 8-2 against the spread when getting less than 14 points. This is usually kind of the a role that they like. So, and for me in this one with Clemson and Georgia Tech, I like it to go over here with Haynes King returning. I'm going to go over in this one with Clemson and Georgia Tech, but feels like a good one here in the ACC to get things rolling. Hey, I really appreciate everyone joining me. I want to hear your comments in the chat. I'd like to interact with you guys and hear what you have to say here on a Saturday here on Nuke the House. So give me the over here. This one with Clemson and Georgia Tech. Some other top matchups coming up top of the hour, including Oregon and Northwestern, and also Oklahoma and Temple. Make sure you check out my picks here at Nuke the House for today. We're going to keep it on a roll here right now for sure in today's action. All right, let's keep it moving here right now and go to some big time action today here in the SEC with Georgia taking on Tennessee here in this one. And Georgia, wow, down to a 4-point favorite this week. You know, it opened a little bit higher than this for sure, up more towards a 6 or 6.5 range here for the Dogs on the road, taking on Tennessee. And after we saw UCLA last night, right, you got to figure Tennessee with Aguiar, they got to be pretty happy where they stand with him at quarterback rather than Nico after the Bruins lost again last night. But for Georgia, they come in here 2-0. They've outscored their opposition so far 75-13. Georgia not always great in this role when coming in off a win, just 5-16 against the spread in their last 21 games. But Georgia also 1-6 against the spread. The last 7 opportunities as a road favorite, also just 7-11 in their last 18 conference games. But usually with Kirby Smart, you know, he's got a pretty strong record actually against the spread, 20-14 against the spread as a road favorite. So for Tennessee here, they beat Syracuse 45-26. They've outscored their opposition 117-43, but they had a 1AA opponent as well. The Vols were 16-12 against the spread, coming in off of a win. You know, Aguiar, a couple of years a starter at Appalachian State. He fits the role just perfect, man, for Tennessee. Feels like a pretty good spot with Aguiar in here for sure. Now, under Heupel, Tennessee is just 3-10 against the spread as an underdog, and Georgia's won last 8 games in this series, covering 6 of them, including 4 straight trips here into Knoxville. 9 of the last 14 meetings between these teams have gone over, but we'll see what kind of defense Tennessee has in store for Georgia here today. I got to take the Vols here, maybe even sprinkling the money line here in this one, but I like Tennessee here today to get the cover and maybe even the win against Georgia. Man, Aguiar looks perfect in that Tennessee uniform. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vols here in this one. All right, I see Jimmy Lambo in the chat there. Go ahead and comment. We got already about 5 dozen viewers in here quickly, and we got just 20 minutes before the noon kickoff. So make sure you comment with me in the chat. Hey, let's go to another hot one today. Now, I know this is a big spread, but I don't know. Everyone's talking South Florida here with their 2 big upsets so far, right? Upsetting Boise State, upsetting Florida so far. It's been a good start for South Florida. Now they got to take on Miami. And, hey, Miami's been a little rough around the edges here for last decade, but now it feels like Miami's kind of hit a stride here, but still 17.5 against this South Florida team that's really, I think been one of the stories, one of the talking points here this week in college football, even with some of these nice games here, but, with their Junior quarterback Brown, South Florida's definitely looked pretty good here. They got kind of a strong, sturdy offensive line. Most of the guys on that line have a couple of years experience here under Coach Golesh. Bulls are 7-5 against the spread as an underdog, and the Bulls are 7-4 against the spread in their last 11 games as a road underdog. Also under Golesh, Bulls are 9-3 against the spread in non-conference games. So USF, I think everyone's talking about, a little bit about that offense, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the defense too. Both their games have been under the total so far this season as well. For Miami, they edged Notre Dame. Now, they crushed their one AA opponent, but the big news was they, edged Notre Dame 27-24. Hurricanes, the yardage was even, but they got a couple of key turnovers in that game. And with Beck at quarterback, a lot of people trust him. Certainly the former Georgia quarterback, a year's worth of experience really under his belt. Cristobal, really not great as a home favorite in his career, 18-32 against the spread and 8-12 against the spread at home with Miami. Now, Miami did win last year, 50-15 is a 17-point favorite, if you know what I mean. But I'm not so sure. I kind of want to take South Florida here, but I'll go to the total in this one. Miami did win and cover the last four in this series. So I'm going over here in this one with South Florida and Miami here today. Total at 57 here this afternoon. That one goes off at, note the time on that one, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific for that high-profile matchup. I think the total's actually gone down to 56.5 or so here in this one. All right, keep it going here in the SEC with Arkansas taking on Ole Miss. Here, both teams come in 2-0 right now. Arkansas has outscored their opposition 108 to FCS team in there as well. For the Hogs, they're 6-10 against the spread in their last 16, coming in off of a win. Their offensive line, nearly 2 years of experience per man for that Arkansas offensive line. Under Coach Pittman, Arkansas is 11-6 against the spread as a road underdog and 23-17 against the spread in conference games. For Ole Miss, they pounded Georgia State 63-7. They edged Kentucky 30-23 on the road. Simmons, last I heard, I'm going to check his status here again real quick, just bear with me here, because his status actually has fluctuated here before game time today. One moment he was in, and the next moment, that ankle was leaving him as questionable here right now. So this is a little bit of a concern with Austin Simmons, who's been pretty sharp, to say the least, so far. 33 of 55 for 576 yards, although 4 interceptions to go with his 3 touchdowns so far this season. Ole Miss, a 6.5-point favorite. The total 63, maybe even dip down here. I want to say it's at least might even be 62.5 here right now. The line's gone down just a little bit. I don't know if it's because Simmons hasn't been confirmed necessarily yet in the starting lineup. Wish I had the information here, but this one is a 4 p.m. start on the West Coast, 7 Eastern. So we're just going to have to play it a little bit by ear here. But the talk was early that he would be in the game, but the ankle keep him just a little bit questionable here right now. Ole Miss so far with Lane Kiffin, 6-2 against the spread as a home favorite since he's been with Ole Miss, but also just 17-23 against the spread in SEC games. Ole Miss has won 5 of the last 7 in the series, and the Rebels pounded them last year, 63-31. But I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around. Arkansas, though, is 10-2 against the spread in the last 12 meetings between these two teams, and it's gone over in 5 of the last 8 meetings in this series. So should be a good one today here with Arkansas and Ole Miss with this SEC matchup. Feels pretty important here right now. I mean, they might not be necessarily the big boys here just yet in conference play, but with both teams coming in here with a 2-0 record, still seems like a pretty important game. And, well, I've got another over here. I'm Mr. Under, but give me the over here in this one between Arkansas and Ole Miss. I probably do want Simmons in there, but it will be reflected in the line if he does miss the game as well. So with that line dipping, I'm okay with that. Hope taking the over. Hey, hopefully you're enjoying the free picks here, but you can get my best plays here on Nuke the House behind the paywall. So make sure you're signed up with us here at Nuke the House. Okay, we're halfway. It's halftime here on the college football Saturday pregame, and we're going to go next up, staying in the SEC, of course, with Florida. Take it on LSU, and LSU a touchdown favorite here in this one. Total 47.5 with the Gators on the road here. 1-1. They were the team that was upset, of course, by South Florida. Gators also won their FCS game 55-0. But USF did outgain Florida last week by about 35 yards, but still they got outgained by South Florida. What can you say? Lagway here for Florida, about a year's worth of experience now under his belt for Coach Napier. 23-10 against the spread as an underdog in his career, and 6-3 against the spread at Florida as a road dog. Napier's always been a good underdog in his career. Also 14-10 with Florida in conference games. For LSU here, they won at Clemson 17-10. They beat Louisiana Tech 23-7. An experienced team. They brought back 16 starters this season. They've got Nussmeier. He's looked pretty good at quarterback so far. He had a pretty big year last year. Now for Microchip Kelly here, 11-6 so far with LSU as a favorite is Chip Kelly. Has been a pretty good role. LSU's won and covered 5 of the last 6 meetings in this series. The Gators here are 0-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 3 visits to Baton Rouge. So I'm going to end up here on the under, though, at 47.5 as my play here on the show. I've got the under here in this one. All right, we're having a great time with you guys here on the show and leading up to the big noon kickoff. And let's go to a big one here right now with Texas A&M. Take it on Notre Dame here in this one with A&M on the road tonight. This one's at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific with the Aggies coming in 2-0. They beat UTSA 42-24. They also beat Utah State 44-22. Both those games are at home, and now we're heading into South Bend. So let's see here what happens. The Aggies, veteran team, especially on the offensive line, where that offensive line nearly the starters averaging 3 years of experience. They have a sophomore quarterback in Reed, basically about a year's worth of experience under his belt. A&M just 1-4 against the spread last 5 as a road underdog, and also just 7-10 against the spread coming in off of a win. A&M just 3-13 in their last 16 non-conference games. Wow. How about that? In his career, Coach Elko just 6-10 against the spread in non-conference games. overall. So for Notre Dame here and Coach Freeman, look, he's won 33 of his 44 games as the Irish coach, but they did lose to Miami there, 27-24 in that opener. They were outgained by a little bit, but they had two key turnovers in that game, two important turnovers anyway in that contest. Notre Dame, yeah, they have a somewhat experienced offensive line. Most of the starters have been around an average of a year here. And look, we'll see if Carr is the man here, right, for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's been one of the best spread teams in the country. There's no doubt about that. Uh, Notre Dame's 21-8 against the spread so far over the last 2+ years, their last 29 basically. Freeman has been money, although this role as a home favorite, just 9-8 against the spread. Usually it's on the road where Notre Dame has excelled with home as a dog or as a favorite. That's really where they earn their money is on the road. So Notre Dame won 23-13 at Texas A&M last season as they outgained the Aggies by over 100 yards and held them to under 250 total yards. So Notre Dame here right now, let me see here. I think the total it's still 6-50 here in this one. I've got the over here in this one with Texas A&M and Notre Dame. I've got this one going over the 50 here tonight. All right, thanks to everyone there in the chat. I see Lucky Power there. He says smash the like button, like it, share it here on the Nuke the House channel. Really appreciate you guys joining me. How about Jimmy Lambo? He says, what do you like here? We might be able to take some requests. I don't have a problem here necessarily with that. You know what I do like in Oregon and Northwestern? I like the over here in this one. Look, Oregon's got a bit of a sandwich in that game, I think, here today. So I might even, look at it both ways here for Jimmy's kind enough to chat here. Why not take some requests on the Nuke the House college football Saturday pregame? I like Northwestern to hang in this game. I think the sandwich is real here. And look, Oregon's been terrific. They're definitely one of the best teams in the country. But I think the sandwich here for Oregon might actually give Northwestern a bit of a chance here, getting 4 touchdowns. And I think probably they'll hang in the game here in an over today. So if you want to look at it both ways, how about it? How about we do it that way? Jimbo, you're so nice to comment here. Come over and see me here on the Nuke the House channel. I'll take Northwestern and the over. How about that? Hey, we're taking requests here on the college football pregame. All right, let's take a look at another one here right now with Vanderbilt in South Carolina. Well, man, Vanderbilt included in the biggest games of the day, and why not? Hey, this isn't the Vanderbilt of iterations past here. Vanderbilt comes in 2-0. We know they've had a pretty steadier program over the last few years, right, from those woeful Vandy days. But Vanderbilt so far, they won their FCS game by a 45-3 margin, and then they did beat Virginia Tech 40-22. 44-20. Sorry about that. 44-20 in that game against Virginia Tech. They outgained the Hokies by over 250 yards in that one. Vanderbilt, a lot of veterans here on this team. They returned 17 starters here this season, and that offensive line, a lot of experience. They brought in a lot of transfers to protect for their man, Diego Pavia, who basically is starting his 4th season as a college football starter. Vanderbilt's 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games as an underdog. And under Coach Lee, Vandy's 13-7 on the road as a dog. So they also went 6-2 against the spread in conference games last year. Now, this line has dropped considerably. It was, I think, 5.5 or 6 for the most part. The total was opener at 52.5, and it's down here now to 49 or so. Um, Vanderbilt just 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 games off of a win. They did make it to a bowl game last year, which was cool because they hadn't been to a bowl in 6 seasons. So for South Carolina here, the Gamecocks beat Virginia Tech 24-11. They also won their FCS game by a 38-10 margin. Sellers, the sophomore, comes back here for South Carolina with a year under his belt. And under Coach Beamer, South Carolina is 15-6 against the spread, and the Gamecocks are also 18-4 against the spread in conference games. They're also 9-5 against the spread their last 14 games coming in off of a win. South Carolina's won 16 straight games against Vanderbilt, going 11-5 against the spread. Commodores here just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 visits to Columbia. 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone under, and I think that's where I've got to go here in this one with that total at 49. I like the under here in this one between Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Look, that spread, man, has gone down. The action, I don't know, felt like it's kind of clearly on Vanderbilt coming in. So we'll see, but a good one here in the SEC here today. All right, we got time for one more. Or if you guys have anything in the chat, let me know here, and we'll get it up, give you a pick or two before we get off the air here at the top of the hour and get you ready for the prime time, get you ready for the big noon kickoff. All right. Hey, let's take a look at an interesting one also here late night with Duke on the road taking on Tulane. Tulane a 2-point favorite. The total 52.5 here in this one. And I mentioned this one. I could have picked a couple of other ones here, and man, we got to get out of here. But real quick, just interesting because you have a Mensa here for Duke, right? Yeah, he comes in to be the quarterback of Duke. He was at Tulane last year, and hey, Duke said, show me the money. He gave him $4 million to come in here and be the quarterback, and well, they already lost at home to Illinois, so can't blame Mensa. 723 yards of passing so far this season. He started 13 games at Tulane, so Duke very inexperienced on the offensive line, so they kind of throw in Mensa to the wolves a little bit. Duke just 10-7 against the spread as a dog, and Manny Diaz is 11-4 against the spread as a dog here. He's the coach of Duke now. Duke's 8-4 against the spread. Their last 12 games coming off a loss for Tulane. They beat Northwestern 23-3, and they beat South Alabama 33-31. Tulane over 500 yards of total offense behind a pretty stout offensive line. They definitely return, across the board here, almost 3 years of experience per man on Tulane. And not only that, you got one of the best spread coaches in the country in Sumrall. Sumrall is 43-14 against the spread in his career as a head coach. 43-14, could you imagine? Green Wave 21-11 against the spread as a home favorite. So these teams haven't met in 10 years. I like the under, though, here in this one with Duke and Tulane. Oh, my gosh, I'm out of time here for the Nuke the House college football Saturday pregame. I want to thank everyone for joining me. That was a quick half hour. I'm going to have to tell them we got to run longer here. So really appreciate you guys stopping by here. Don't forget to join us here. Hey, Heather Clark. Oh, Heather says, what? Navy and Tulsa, Ramon. Navy and Tulsa. Okay, you got it, Heather. Appreciate you. Here, I want to give you a preview, but I got to get out of here. Let me just give you my play if I can. It's on Navy today. I'm going to go ahead and lay those points on the road against Tulsa. They are 14-point favorites today. I know the steam kind of came in on Tulsa. Let me make sure that's the line here currently. Yeah, 14.5 and 42. Give me Navy here in this one. Heather, want to appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. Thank you very much. All right. Don't forget at Nuke the House. I'm going to get you out of here, but if you're during football season, don't miss our college and NFL plays from Nuke the House team of sports bettors. We're already up over 128 units last season. And you see so far year to date here on the channel, we are up almost 75 units here and a couple units so far this month. Don't forget to check out the guys here today with their coverage also of the UFC. But we bet live every game during the NFL season. Join us tomorrow for that. I'll be here with Holden as well. I'll be posting my plays. They're up right now. I've got 5 plays this weekend at Nuke the House. We won last night's play as well. So if you're signed up, you'll see my plays in there. I got 5 today and 1 yesterday as we scored with Kansas State and Arizona under for my fourth straight winner here at Nuke the House. So check out the plays if you're a subscriber already. My 5 best plays are up there, including one getting underway right now. So you better check it out. Visit Nuke the House. Sign up for any plan. We won't charge you unless you want to be charged. Use the code Nuke the House for 1 free week. That's Nuke the House for 1 free week. Come join the winners here at Nuke the House. I guess that's it for me. Enjoy the action. Heading on out to the big noon kickoff. I'll be back next week with more college football previews here on Nuke the House. Really appreciate it, gang. We'll have a great sports betting day.